Alright, Trickies and Trickers, time for the final episode and review of the day with Duet. A freighter docks at Deep Space Nine, so one of its passengers may receive treatment for a condition called Kalanora, which was only contracted during a mining incident at a brutal labor camp called Galatep during the Cardassian occupation of Bajor. As the patient is a Cardassian, Major Kira has the man arrested as a war criminal, only to find his name, Amin Maritza, is not listed for any crimes. Commander Sisko sees no option to release Maritza, but Kira is adamant. Maritza is a Cardassian who was present at Galatep, which is reason enough. Sisko decides to investigate further and has the man held in custody. Citing a conflict of interest, Sisko asks Kira to remove herself from the case, but her emotional plea and a promise that she will remain professional convinced him to let her continue. When she interrogates Maritza, he says that he was only a file clerk at Galatep. A photo from Galatep reveals that the man being held is not Amin Maritza, but Gul Darel, the butcher of Galatep, who reportedly murdered thousands of Bajorans. When confronted with this information, the prisoner proudly admits to being Darel. Kira is shaken. Darel seems convincing, however. Inconsistencies in the story begin to stand out. Gul Dukat asserts that Darel is dead. His funeral was widely attended and his body on display. Furthermore, Darel was off Bajor during the Kalanora outbreak and thus could not possibly have the disease. Dr. Bashir discovers that the prisoner has undergone cosmetic surgery, leading Kira to realize that he is indeed Maritza, but is deliberately impersonating Darel. Kira confronts the prisoner with this information. Maritza eventually breaks down in tears, branding himself a coward for not attempting to stop the atrocities at Galatep. He begs Kira to prosecute him as Darel, as he intended all along, insisting that Cardassia must be forced to admit wrongdoings and Bajor must have the satisfaction of successfully prosecuting a Cardassian war criminal. Kira releases Maritza, realizing he's a good man, so traumatized and remorseful from his experiences that he would give up his life to make amends. Kira and Odo escort Maritza to a ship departing from the station. On the way out of the promenade, Maritza is suddenly stabbed and killed by a Bajoran. When Kira demands to know why, the Bajoran echoes her earlier sentiment. Being a Cardassian is reason enough. No, Kira realizes, it's not. Dang. So anyway, let's look at the development of this episode. This episode features significant character development on the part of Kira Nerys. It has been suggested that this may be the first episode in which the Cardassian occupation of Bajor can be seen as alluding to the establishment of Israeli and Nazi persecution of Jews. From a pitch titled The Higher Law, resembling an existing dramatization based on the Nuremberg trials, Peter Fields and Ira Steven Bear reshaped the story with reference to Robert Shaw's The Man in the Glass Booth, which tells of a Jewish man who was accused of being a Nazi war criminal. The interrogation scenes between Kira and Maritza, particularly an exchange wherein Maritza shifts the focus to Kira's personal life and reverses questioning, have been compared to exchanges between Jodie Foster's character and Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs. The producers of Star Trek Voyager attempted to recreate the critical success of Duet with their first season episode, Jetrel. According to the DVD commentary accompanying Voyager's second season, Jetrel was a conscious effort to use a similar delivery to create a metaphor for the aftermath of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In that episode, the character Neelix is forced to confront the scientist who developed a weapon which eradicated thousands of his people. Huh. I actually never knew that. That's kind of interesting. So overall, I say this is a very, very strong episode and definitely one worth watching. And the character development for Kira was definitely well handled in this episode. So overall, I give Duet 5 warp cores out of 5. Well, tune in either Monday or Tuesday, depending on what's going on with my life, as we take a look at the final episode of Season 1, In the Hands of the Prophets. So, until then, live long and prosper, everybody.